On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way.
Our next presenter is going to kind of pick up on what Paul had spoken to a bit, and Carol and some others, on just the reality of the impact of colonization. And as was also been mentioned, that we're connected much broader than maybe where we are physically here at the moment, and sort of kind of bring in a more global perspective as to what's happening in other places that are, meaningful to what is taking place here, the good stuff that is. Our presenter is Caitlyn Sutherlin. She's currently the facilitator of the North American Hub for the Global Alliance for Rights of Nature, and is working on her PhD in environmental and energy policy at Michigan Technological University in Upper Peninsula along the shores of Lake Superior. So please welcome Caitlyn. Here's the
Thank you. First, I want to thank Tish and CELDF. I'm really grateful to be here today. I struggled to figure out what I was going to say today, and I ended up choosing to share with you all some of my dissertation research from El Salvador at Michigan Tech, which is largely inspired and intertwined with the work I do with the Global Alliance and what they're doing right now. This project was something that helped tether me back to my environment, and was something I found, very refreshing and inspiring to continue doing this rights of nature work. Like as several of you have mentioned, it can get hard, so it's nice to have that inspiration. And in the program, my testimony is titled Stream of Consciousness, and I called it that because of the way that some of the Salvadorian elderly women speak. They speak in kind of that sort of stream of consciousness where it's not perfect and there's not really an order to the conversation, but it's kind of a free expression where rich stories and histories are being communicated. And so I initially had this very elaborate PowerPoint about my work that I wanted to share. But I was running through it last night and kind of realizing that it's built within the system that we've all been talking about, that thrives on, clear, measurable results that are very clean and organized. But we know the truth is not organized, and it's not straight to the point. It's nuanced, it's complex, but also simple. So forgive me for skipping around a little bit today, but telling the truth is what we're here to do. And so even if it's less than perfect, that's what I'm going to do. So first, I want to situate these photos within the rights of nature movement and take a moment to recognize that this movement is working, slowly but surely. And today is an example of what that looks like to switch the paradigm. And as an example of it working, we see in the constitutions of Ecuador, which in 2008 added rights of nature to their constitution. And that's resulted in the protection of the Yasuni rainforest just in August, where it was voted to protect that area from any further mining or oil concessions, and the Los Cedros cloud forest in 2021. And as you can see, this movement is growing and is expanding. These graphs are from the Eco Jurisprudence Monitor website, and if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I recommend. It's a really amazing resource to see all of this work being done internationally. And I know there are several movements here, so please make sure your project and your activism work is on that site, so we can share our thoughts and be together in a community. So these rights of nature movements are situated within the Buen Vivir model from Bolivia and Ecuador. That's a reflection of indigenous connections to Mother Earth or Pachamama in that region. And these are ecocentric models of society that are not founded on the concept of continuous economic growth. But once they're adapted by governments, they're still not perfect. But they are addressing this concept of a system of capitalism that has failed and will continue to fail us. So this idea of truth is that our current system, of which we're all a part of, is not working. And the frustration we feel that it is not working is a shared experience, as we've heard today. But the system was not designed to benefit us, and most especially not designed to benefit Mother Earth. But there are alternative systems out there that are working and successful. So reckoning that these systems are not perfect, but we can take our lead from these other models in these other countries. And that's what I did this past summer. I wanted to see how a model based on an unbreakable connection to Mother Earth would translate to another region. So I wanted to have a better understanding of how a small town in El Salvador saw themselves in relation to nature. So in 2021, I conducted ethnographic research in El Salvador, and I really fell in love with the amazing and resilient and beautiful country that it is. Also, the food is really good. I specifically worked in the small rural town of California in Usulatan. And this region is what is now known as the Central American Dry Corridor. So in the last 15 years or so, this region has experienced drastic changes in rainfall, especially during their rainy season, or what would be their rainy season. So obviously this has caused extreme water shortage in the area, and amongst other issues related to extreme drought, such as flash flooding, which is kind of the opposite end of that uneven and unpredictable rainfall that exists now. But keeping in mind this Buen Vivir model, which is rooted in indigenous teachings and relations to Mother Earth or Pachamama, El Salvador becomes a really especially interesting viewpoint when we consider that indigenous identity in that country was systematically wiped out almost to extinction among several genocides in Central America. But this connection between Mother Earth and ourselves is intentionally wiped out. The sooner we feel disconnected from our world and untethered, the sooner we fall into line with a system that is controllable. In addition to addressing that, El Salvador also endured many years of violence that was perpetuated by systems like the United States, making it so their country was essentially cut off for a long period of time. But though people may try, these connections and relationships to nature still exist. And therefore in El Salvador, while these connections and relationships assumingly exist, and they're not nearly as documented as similar holistic relationships with nature in places like Ecuador or Bolivia. So how do we document these connections and relationships? My solution was to take pictures. So if you're not familiar with the process of photo voice, it's essentially asking a group of participants to take a picture and provide a narrative with that picture based on a prompt. And then the pictures are analyzed together as a group so that participants are part of the entire process of analysis and the research process. So these participants were asked to take a picture when they felt most connected to nature and share a narrative along with those photos. And there were no real restrictions on those pictures taken besides ethical considerations that were required by the university. And then photos were analyzed in community meetings. And we got some really amazing photos and preliminary findings from this research. And so all of the photos in this PowerPoint are photos that community members in California have taken. Some of them are collaged together because a lot of them took several photos of the same thing to catch like many different perspectives. So yeah, I hope you enjoy these. So the first finding we got from some of this research was community enthusiasm and active participation. Participants really enjoyed being a part of this project, and they enjoyed taking the time to notice small aspects of their environment that maybe they hadn't been asked about before. As I said, this area is in a region identified as highly at risk for climate change and earth change. And so a lot of organizations are working there, but they're asking about their water usage. They aren't necessarily asking about their home gardens or their small insects that they see around that they hadn't looked at closely before. But this also meant they were sharing their hardships with us. Several of the community members were in the Civil Protection Brigade, which is kind of like our equivalent of FEMA. So several of the photos I received would have required civil protection attention, so a slight bias there. And several of these were of issues that we'd heard about in previous visits to the area, but we were just now seeing for the first time. For example, these flash floods, super common, and organizations have been there for years and been acknowledging that these flash floods happen, but didn't know where, didn't know the severity, that kind of thing. And this flash flood you see is after maybe 10 minutes period of heavy rain. So quick to happen and not an unusual circumstance. We also receive photos of things like earthquakes, which are common in the area, as well as pictures of insects that indicated an early dry season was coming, as well as fields damaged in various storms. But the cool thing about seeing both the joy and the hardships was throughout all of it, community members were thanking God. And this particular photo with the accompanying narrative belongs to a community member where rain was consistently resulting in flash floods, but they were still grateful there was any rain falling at all. And so while Christian viewpoints definitely dominated in this community, I saw this as the community taking the good and the bad and an appreciation for nature in all her forms. And so I think that's part of the truth here, is that there is no such thing as one truth, and there is no positive or negative, but rather we live in cycles and exist through all of them. Just touching on this one quickly, women's empowerment also showed to be a huge theme in this, which was really exciting to see not only who, like what they're seeing in their community, but who is responding to community problems first. So all of this to show that this was a very empowering method where community members were able to show us their stories and their life. And in many situations, they were telling us stories that they had not had a chance to share. So we saw the leaders in the communities, the responses and the problems, and we also saw the joy and beauty that they wanted to protect. And we saw nature outside of this idea of nature that we've assigned, which is only in a park or in a refuge. And so I kind of want to leave you with this idea of what would life look like if we stopped and took the time to reconnect with nature and step outside this structured system that we struggle to live within every day. So thank you for all of you being here today to change that paradigm and step outside that box that we've been put in. I just want to acknowledge again my gratitude for everyone here, as well as some of the sponsors that helped me do this research, but especially thank you to CELDF. So thanks everyone.
On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. No one know. No